Focus on yourself. Let them go. Stoicism. Here's a truth we often overlook. We are the ones who weigh ourselves down with unnecessary burdens. We chase external validation, hold on to unfulfilling relationships, and worry about things beyond our control. But have you ever stopped to think that true freedom comes not from accumulating more, but from letting go of what no longer serves us? In a world that constantly demands more of us, the key to inner peace lies in focusing on ourselves and releasing the attachments that hold us back. This isn't just philosophical talk. It's a practical guide rooted in modern Stoicism and the Stoic secrets that have transformed countless lives, including mine. What I'm about to share with you goes beyond theory. It's a simple yet powerful approach to finding peace amidst the chaos of life. So I encourage you to stay with me, reflect on these lessons, and allow them to guide you toward a life of fulfillment and resilience. The path to personal growth and lasting happiness starts with letting go. Let's dive in. 7 Stoic lessons to focus on yourself. Number 1. Detach from the need to be loved. Let's dive into something that touches each of us deeply: the intense, often overwhelming desire to be loved and validated by others. It's a universal part of the human experience. We've all been there, seeking approval from our friends, family, or society at large. We constantly measure our self-worth against how others perceive us, often letting their opinions define us. It feels natural, doesn't it? This longing for validation is something hardwired into us. But here's the catch. When we rely too heavily on that external validation, we can lose touch with our true selves. It's subtle at first, but over time, it can erode our sense of self-worth. That's where Stoicism, especially modern Stoicism, offers us a life-changing perspective: the power to detach from the need to be loved. Imagine for a moment not being tethered to the opinions of others. What if their approval or disapproval no longer had the power to shape your identity? Marcus Aurelius, one of the great Stoic philosophers, wisely said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." This profound insight reminds us that while we can't control the actions of others or external events, we do have full control over our internal world. Our worth is not dictated by anyone else. When you stop seeking approval from others, you reclaim control of your life. You begin to live on your own terms, and that, I believe, is the essence of true freedom. We all crave this freedom to be our authentic selves, to speak our truth, and to pursue our goals without the paralyzing fear of judgment. This isn't about shutting yourself off from others or becoming indifferent to their feelings. It's about learning to trust yourself and make decisions based on your values, rather than trying to meet the often unrealistic expectations placed on us by society. Think about the life of Franz Kafka. He created some of the most influential literary works without the need for widespread recognition or approval. His creations were driven not by the desire for validation, but by an inner passion and purpose. Kafka's legacy stands as proof that true value lies not in how others see us, but in how we live authentically and stay true to our purpose. So ask yourself, what would your life look like if you didn't feel the need to be loved or approved by everyone around you? Imagine the liberation to chase those dreams you've put on hold for so long, or the courage to speak up without second-guessing yourself. How would it feel to live life on your terms, free from the constant pressure of meeting others' expectations? Modern Stoicism teaches us that our worth isn't dependent on external approval. It comes from within, from the strength to stay grounded, to live with integrity, and to pursue what truly matters to us. In a world that constantly tries to define us by others' standards, how much more powerful would you be if you learned to define yourself? The question is, what would you do if you didn't feel the weight of needing others' approval? How would you live and what would you create? This is the essence of living authentically, and embracing this freedom will lead you to a life of greater fulfillment and purpose. So I encourage you to reflect on this. If you stopped seeking love or approval from everyone, what could you accomplish? The choice is yours, and it's time to take control. Number 2. Abandon the desire to know all. In today's fast-paced world, we are constantly overwhelmed by an unrelenting flood of information. Whether it's the latest news on global events, the endless complexities of science, or the ever-changing trends in society, it's easy to feel like we need to know everything. Our smartphones buzz with updates, our social media feeds constantly refresh with new posts, and we're always just a click away from a never-ending stream of facts and figures. In many ways, the desire to know everything can become all-consuming. It feels like if we don't stay informed, we'll fall behind, miss something important, or fail to understand the complexities of the world. However, the ancient Stoics provide us with a timeless and refreshing perspective that can help us navigate this modern dilemma. They remind us that knowledge, while valuable, is not the key to peace of mind or control over our lives. In fact, the Stoic secrets lie not in acquiring more information, but in focusing on what we can truly control: our thoughts, our actions, and how we respond to the world around us. By doing so, we can cultivate a sense of calm and order amid the chaos of life. The Stoics teach us that we don't need to understand every detail of life's vast complexities in order to live a fulfilling and meaningful life. When we let go of the constant urge to know everything, we free ourselves from the mental clutter that so often leads to unnecessary stress and frustration. It's similar to standing in a crowded room full of voices and realizing that you don't have to listen to every conversation around you. Instead, you can center yourself on what matters most: your own peace, well-being, and growth. The truth is, the more we try to learn, the more we often realize how little we actually understand. This paradox, the more we know, the more we realize how much we don't know, can leave us feeling inadequate, overwhelmed, and insecure. This powerful quote underscores a profound truth. True strength doesn't come from accumulating endless facts or mastering every topic, but from mastering your mind and choosing where to direct your energy. We don't need to dive deep into every issue or topic that comes our way. Instead, we should focus on the present moment, appreciating the simple and meaningful aspects of life. Think about how often we get sucked into the latest headlines or social media trends, only to find ourselves more stressed, confused, and less at peace. The Stoics understood this well. They knew that consuming constant news and information often distracts us from what really matters. Instead of pouring all our mental energy into things we can't control, the Stoics suggest we focus on what truly matters: nurturing our relationships, developing our skills, and striving to create a life that feels fulfilling and meaningful. When we limit the intake of unnecessary information, we create more space for the things that genuinely contribute to our personal growth. As the Stoics taught, the pursuit of wisdom isn't about knowing everything. It's about knowing what's worth paying attention to and letting go of the rest. So, the next time you feel the pull to dive into the latest news story or get caught up in an endless cycle of information, remember the Stoic principle: focus on what you can control. Choose to direct your energy toward the things that matter most in your life, and let go of the noise that doesn't contribute to your growth or well-being. By following this wisdom, you can create a life that's not only informed, but also peaceful, purposeful, and full of clarity. Number 3. Own your experiences. In life, it's all too easy to fall into the habit of pointing fingers, blaming others, or attributing our misfortunes to circumstances beyond our control. But what if I told you that modern Stoicism teaches us a far more empowering lesson? We are the true authors of our own experiences. It's incredibly tempting to look outward and search for reasons behind our failures or disappointments, blaming a bad boss, a difficult situation, or even bad luck. Yet, as Marcus Aurelius wisely said, the happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. We often forget that the only thing we can truly control is how we respond to what happens to us. If we can learn to stop blaming external forces and take full responsibility for our actions, our reactions, and our emotions, we will regain control of our lives. This is the starting point for empowerment. Both Epictetus and Marcus Aurelius emphasize that while we can't always control what happens to us, we have complete control over how we interpret and react to those events. Life will inevitably present us with challenges, but the key is not in avoiding them or blaming others when things go wrong. The key lies in taking ownership of our experiences, even the painful ones. Think about someone who failed to secure a business deal. Instead of fixating on frustration or regret, ask yourself, what could I have done differently? What can I learn from this? This is what it means to take ownership, looking inward, reflecting on what you can improve, and using that insight to grow. By doing so, we can transform setbacks into stepping stones for personal growth. Just like a gardener prunes a tree to help it grow stronger, we must examine our actions and attitudes to identify areas where we can build resilience and wisdom. Each challenge we face is a golden opportunity to learn something new, refine our character, and shape the person we are becoming. By adopting this mindset, we free ourselves from the cycle of blame and begin to take full ownership of our journey. This shift allows us to cultivate a deeper sense of self-mastery. Responsibility ceases to feel like a burden and starts to feel like an asset that empowers us. Through the practice of ownership, we begin to understand that true growth comes from within. It's about becoming proactive, intentional, and mindful about how we react to life's unpredictable curveballs. By realizing that the power to change lies in our own hands, we become more equipped to handle life's ups and downs. Life isn't defined by what happens to us. It's defined by how we choose to respond. When we take ownership of our experiences, we are essentially taking full responsibility for our personal growth and happiness. Modern Stoicism offers a clear path forward. Stop looking outside of yourself for validation or excuses, and start looking inward for the strength to shape your own destiny. By doing this, not only will you grow stronger, but you'll also gain greater control over your happiness and your life. It's all about owning the experience and, in turn, shaping the future you want. Have you ever found yourself blaming others or circumstances for your struggles? If you faced a moment when you decided to stop pointing fingers and take responsibility for your own experiences, I invite you to share your story with us. Comment, "I own my experiences" below, and let the world know how taking control of your actions and reactions has empowered you. Your journey could inspire others to stop looking for excuses, take charge of their lives, and shape their own destinies. Let's create a space where we can all learn from each other's experiences and grow together. Number 4, break free from winning every argument. Have you ever found yourself in an argument desperately wanting to prove your point to be right? I know I've been there. It's easy to get caught up in the heat of the moment and let our egos take control. We convince ourselves that winning the argument is important, that it validates our beliefs and ideas. But here's the truth. Stoic wisdom teaches us that true strength isn't found in dominating others or being right at all costs. It's found in our ability to control ourselves, especially in situations where our pride wants to take over. The siyl, Stoic secrets offer a different approach, one of inner peace. Imagine for a moment how often we engage in arguments just for the sake of winning. Do we ever stop to ask, what's the real purpose here? Marcus Aurelius, a Stoic philosopher, reminds us that we always have the choice to remain neutral. We can choose silence over confrontation. Withholding our opinions when sharing them serves no purpose other than to feed our own pride. I've come to realize that winning an argument may bring a fleeting sense of satisfaction, but it doesn't lead to lasting peace. In fact, it often leaves us feeling drained and the other person feeling defeated. If we truly want peace, we need to stop seeing every conversation as a battle. Instead, we can shift our focus toward understanding. Take Richard Feynman, the brilliant physicist, as an example. He didn't go around trying to win every conversation. Instead, he had an insatiable curiosity. He was known for asking questions rather than forcing his knowledge onto others. That's a powerful lesson. Intellectual strength lies in curiosity, not in constantly trying to prove we're right. Think about how often you've argued just to defend your ego. Now, what if you practice the opposite, choosing to listen, reflect, and approach discussions with a goal of mutual understanding rather than one-upmanship? This shift would not only lead to personal growth, but it would also foster deeper, more meaningful relationships. Imagine a workplace situation where a colleague challenges your idea. Instead of immediately reacting, what if you just listened? If you approach the conversation with a calm demeanor and an open mind, you would invite trust, respect, and collaboration. In doing so, you'd be using the Stoic secrets to build stronger connections and create a more peaceful environment. You see, letting go of the need to be right doesn't make you weak. It makes you wiser. It's in those moments when we resist the urge to argue that we actually gain more control over our emotions, our thoughts, and ultimately, our lives. The Stoics understood this centuries ago. By practicing silence, refraining from reacting out of ego, and instead choosing a path of reflection, we free ourselves from the burdens of unnecessary conflict. So the next time you find yourself in an argument, ask yourself, what's more important, being right or having peace? What will bring you more joy in the long run, winning the argument or learning something new? By embracing Stoic principles and letting go of the need to win every debate, you can open the door to a more fulfilling life, one where peace, understanding, and respect take center stage. Let's choose wisdom over pride and silence over conflict, for in doing so we'll find the true freedom that the Stoics spoke of. The lesson here is simple. Let go of your ego. Let go of the need to always win. And in doing so, you'll find strength in silence and clarity in your thoughts, leading you toward deeper personal growth and more meaningful relationships. Number 5, accept your imperfections. Let's talk about something that we all deal with, imperfection. It's an undeniable part of being human, and yet so many of us spend our lives chasing after an ideal of perfection that seems just out of reach. Maybe you've been there too, constantly striving for that flawless version of yourself, hoping that once you get it right, you'll finally feel at peace. But here's the truth. Perfection is an illusion. It's a construct of society, and chasing after it can only lead to frustration, self-doubt, and burnout. That's where modern Stoicism comes in to shift our perspective. It teaches us to accept our imperfections, to embrace our flaws, and to see them as opportunities for growth. What if instead of trying to erase your imperfections, you accepted them as part of who you are? What if your flaws could actually become the foundation for your personal growth? Seneca, one of the great Stoic philosophers, once said, "What progress, you ask, have I made? I have begun to be a friend to myself." Think about that for a moment. Being your own friend. Isn't that what we all need? To stop criticizing ourselves at every turn and instead accept who we are, flaws and all? By embracing our imperfections, we not only give ourselves permission to be human, but we also open the door to deeper self-compassion and understanding. It's through our struggles, our mistakes, and our flaws that we truly grow. Look at Albert Einstein. He was once considered a poor student, someone who didn't fit the mold, but he didn't try to force himself into someone else's idea of perfection. Instead, he accepted his unique way of thinking, and that led him to revolutionize science. His story is proof that imperfection isn't something to fear, it's something to celebrate. Imagine what would happen if you stopped trying to be perfect and simply focused on being true to yourself. How much energy would you free up to grow, to learn and to improve? How would your life change if you saw your flaws not as weaknesses but as strengths? When we stop the endless pursuit of perfection, we can live more authentically and with greater peace of mind. We can accept ourselves for who we are, knowing that we don't have to be flawless to be worthy. So, I ask you, what if you began to accept your imperfections today? What would that look like for you? Would you finally let go of the impossible standard you've been holding yourself to? Would you give yourself the space to grow without the pressure of being perfect? Modern Stoicism teaches us that it's not about being flawless. It's about being true to ourselves, learning from our mistakes, and embracing the beauty of imperfection. And I believe that once we do this, we step into a life that is fuller, richer, and more peaceful. So I challenge you, embrace your imperfections because in them lies the potential for your greatest growth. Number 6. Liberate yourself from limiting stories. The stories we tell ourselves have a powerful influence on how we perceive the world and our place in it. These self-imposed narratives often shape our beliefs, and in many cases, limit our potential. We create mental barriers that prevent us from seizing opportunities and achieving personal growth, simply because we convince ourselves that we are constrained by our past experiences. However, Stoicism offers a profound insight into how we can break free from these limiting beliefs. According to the Stoic philosophy, we are not bound by the stories we tell ourselves or by the constraints we place on our lives. Instead, we possess the power to rewrite our narrative at any given moment. This insight is one of the Stoic secrets that holds the key to personal liberation. The Stoics, particularly Epictetus, emphasized that much of our suffering comes not from the external events themselves, but from the way we choose to interpret those events. As Epictetus wisely noted, we suffer more often in imagination than in reality. This powerful statement reveals just how much influence our thoughts and beliefs have over our lives. By recognizing that the stories we tell ourselves are simply interpretations, not absolute truths, we gain the ability to free ourselves from their grip. This doesn't mean ignoring the past or pretending that it hasn't shaped who we are. Rather, it's about acknowledging our past in a way that empowers us to move forward, rather than holding us back. For instance, think about a time you may have failed at something. Instead of interpreting that failure as a confirmation of your inability or worthlessness, view it as a stepping stone that brought you closer to success. By reframing these moments, you shift the story from one of limitation to one of growth and resilience. When you let go of the limiting beliefs such as "I'm not good enough" or "I can't change," you create space for personal transformation. These false narratives often arise from fear and self-doubt, but the act of shedding them opens up opportunities for growth and change. A person who once believed they were destined for failure might now see their progress, no matter how small, and take pride in each step forward. They no longer view obstacles as insurmountable barriers, but rather as challenges to be overcome. Rewriting your story is not just about shifting your mindset. It's about actively choosing to engage with life in a way that is empowering, full of possibility, and grounded in the belief that you are capable of shaping your future. Instead of remaining trapped in the confines of past mistakes or self-limiting beliefs, you empower yourself to embrace new possibilities. By liberating yourself from the stories that have kept you stuck in the past, you open the door to infinite growth. This practice can help you step into the life you truly desire, one that is not defined by what you've endured, but by what you are capable of becoming. Just as the Stoics teach us, the ability to control our perceptions and interpretations is a key factor in how we live our lives. When you start rewriting your story, you not only change your internal dialogue but also transform how you engage with the world around you. As the great Stoic philosopher Seneca once said, "It is not because things are difficult that we do not dare. It is because we do not dare that they are difficult." This reminds us that the courage to rewrite our stories and face life with a fresh perspective is where true strength lies. The more you take control of your narrative, the more you realize how much freedom you have to create the life you want. You've come this far because you're ready to take control of your story and unlock your true potential. Now it's your turn to make this philosophy yours. Leave a comment below with the slogan, "I am the author of my own story," to show you're embracing the power to rewrite your narrative. This is your moment to embrace change and step into a future filled with possibility. Stay connected. More transformative lessons are coming your way. Number 7. Embrace the strength in solitude. In today's fast-paced and hyper-connected world, the idea of solitude often seems foreign or uncomfortable. Many of us fear being alone, equating it with loneliness, emptiness, or a sense of purposelessness. But modern Stoicism offers a different perspective, one that encourages us to embrace solitude as a powerful tool for self-reflection, personal growth, and inner peace. Marcus Aurelius wisely reminded us, "People seek retreats for themselves, in the country, by the sea, or in the mountains, but it is in your power whenever you shall choose to retire into yourself." This simple but profound statement reveals the strength and potential found in solitude. The Stoics believed that true peace, strength, and contentment come not from the outside world, through distractions or fleeting relationships, but from within. In solitude, we can escape the noise, the expectations, and the constant need for external validation, allowing us to focus inward and understand ourselves on a deeper level. When we choose to embrace solitude, we create a space where we can confront our thoughts, emotions, and desires in a focused and quiet environment. This isn't about retreating into isolation or cutting ourselves off from the world, but rather about intentionally stepping back to allow ourselves time for reflection. In a world that is constantly bombarding us with noise, whether from social, media, work pressures, or the opinions of others, it can be incredibly empowering to learn to find fulfillment within ourselves, free from external distractions. Solitude becomes an opportunity for self-exploration, helping us clarify our values, aspirations, and sense of purpose. It is in these moments of stillness that we can reconnect with what truly matters, clear the mental clutter, and find the clarity needed to make decisions that align with our true selves. Take, for example, someone who dedicates time each day to sit in silence, meditate, or simply reflect on their thoughts. This practice of solitude can help build mental clarity, emotional resilience, and a sense of peace that strengthens their ability to face life's challenges with confidence. Contrast to the idea of solitude as a form of isolation, the Stoics viewed it as an essential practice for strengthening our inner resolve. By learning to be comfortable in our own company, we free ourselves from the constant need for validation from others and become more self-reliant, more grounded, and better equipped to navigate life's inevitable ups and downs. The more time we spend alone, the more we come to understand our true selves, our strengths, our weaknesses, our values, and our desires. In doing so, we also become more empowered, more resilient, and better able to live in alignment with our true purpose. Solitude, when embraced with intention, becomes not something to fear, but something to cherish, a vital tool for personal growth, self-discovery, and inner peace. By embracing solitude, we create the space to strengthen our connection to ourselves, enabling us to approach life with a sense of purpose, clarity, and wisdom. In the hustle and bustle of modern life, we may often forget the value of simply being with ourselves. Yet when we take the time to retreat inwardly, we unlock a powerful source of strength that will help us not only endure life's challenges, but thrive in them. Through modern Stoicism, we come to understand that solitude is not something to escape from, but something to embrace as an essential part of the journey toward greater self-mastery and inner peace. In summary, these 7 Stoic lessons help you gain a deeper understanding of yourself, embrace the truths of life, and free yourself from unnecessary attachments. By practicing these principles, you will experience true freedom. Freedom not dictated by the expectations of others or external factors. Additional Stoic wisdom to live by. Now, let's dive deeper into even more profound Stoic wisdom in section B to make your life stronger and more meaningful than ever before. Don't go just yet. There are more valuable lessons waiting for you, ones that will help you live a life of peace, resilience, and true freedom. Keep watching to discover more. Number 1. Live with daily gratitude. Have you ever stopped to think about how gratitude could change the way you experience life? It's easy to get caught up in the hustle and bustle, focusing on what we don't have or what we think we're missing. But here's a secret that many people overlook. Gratitude is one of the most powerful practices that can radically shift your mindset. It's not just an emotion, it's an active choice. Imagine, each day, choosing to focus not on what's lacking in your life, but on what's already there. The Stoic secrets remind us that practicing daily gratitude can reshape how we see the world. Marcus Aurelius, a wise Stoic, put it simply when he said, "Be content with what you have and wish for nothing more." Think about what that means. Contentment doesn't come from acquiring more, but from appreciating what you already possess. By making gratitude a daily habit, whether through journaling, quiet reflection, or simply taking a moment to acknowledge your blessings, you start to shift your focus. You stop worrying about what's missing and start to see the abundance around you. How often do we get frustrated with life's challenges, viewing them as burdens? What if we started seeing those challenges as opportunities for growth instead? Imagine you're stressed at work, overwhelmed by the deadlines and the pressure. It's so easy to complain, right? But what if instead you focused on the positive side? What if you were grateful for the lessons work is teaching you, the skills you're gaining, and the impact you're making? When you shift your perspective, like that, your stress doesn't disappear, but it becomes easier to handle. Gratitude makes the tough times a little more bearable, and it makes the good times even sweeter. Think about the small things. Good health, a warm cup of coffee in the morning, the love of your family. These things are often overlooked, but when you take the time to appreciate them, your emotional resilience grows. It's easy to fall into the trap of comparing yourself to others, wishing you had what they have or wanting more than what you've already been given. But the Stoics teach us that by focusing on what you already have, you can find peace in the present moment. There's a sense of joy and fulfillment that comes from knowing you have everything you need, just as you are. And this isn't about ignoring your desire to grow. It's about accepting life as it is while still striving for personal development. By focusing on gratitude, we invite joy and reduce stress, and that, in turn, strengthens our emotional resilience. I challenge you to think about this. How would your life change if you practiced daily gratitude? How might your perspective shift if you began to notice the blessings around you, even in the middle of a difficult day? It's not always easy, but it's a practice that builds over time. The more you practice gratitude, the more you'll realize that it doesn't depend on external circumstances. True peace and happiness are found within, through a mindset of abundance rather than scarcity. When you apply the Stoic secrets of gratitude to your daily life, you'll find yourself more at peace, more grounded, and ready to tackle whatever challenges come your way. The lesson here is clear. Start each day by focusing on what you have, not on what you lack, and you'll find yourself transforming the way you experience the world. It's a powerful tool for inner peace and emotional growth. Number 2. Accept what you cannot change. Let's dive deeper into one of the most transformative lessons that Stoicism teaches us: accepting what we cannot change. We all experience this in different ways. It's easy to get caught up in trying to control everything in our lives, right? We often think we need to have a say in how others treat us, in what happens in the world, or even in how our past mistakes are viewed. But here's the harsh truth. Some things are just beyond our control, and no matter how hard we try, we can't change them. When we try to control what's uncontrollable, we only create frustration, anxiety, and a sense of helplessness. And yet that's exactly what so many of us do over and over again. But imagine just for a moment if we stopped trying to control the uncontrollable. Modern Stoicism teaches us that true peace comes from embracing this reality and accepting that there are things we simply can't change. Instead of wasting energy on the things we have no power over, we should focus our attention on the things we can influence. It sounds simple, but I know it's not always easy, especially when life throws curveballs your way. Think about the last time things weren't going your way. Maybe it was the actions of others, the state of the world, or perhaps even your own mistakes haunting you. It's easy to spiral into frustration, feeling helpless or like a victim of circumstances. But what if, instead of resisting the things we can't change, we chose to accept them with grace and move forward? That's the heart of Stoicism. Epictetus, one of the great Stoic philosophers, said it perfectly. We cannot choose our external circumstances, but we can always choose how we respond to them. That right there is where the real power lies. It's in your response. You may not have control over what others do, or the chaos around you, or the mistakes you've made in the past, but you absolutely have control over how you react to those things. Doesn't that feel freeing? Imagine the emotional weight you could lift from your shoulders if you stopped trying to control everything that's out of your hands. By embracing this mindset, you shift from a place of helplessness and frustration to a place of peace and acceptance. This doesn't mean you're giving up or being passive. It's not about resigning yourself to a life of inaction. Instead, it's about letting go of the futile desire to control everything and finding peace in the things that are simply beyond your control. For instance, let's say you lose your job because of an economic downturn. It would be easy to let anger, disappointment, or even despair take hold of you. But instead of dwelling on things that can't be changed, the state of the economy or the company's decision, you could focus your energy on what is within your control. You can update your resume, apply for new opportunities, and choose to maintain a positive mindset. That's what true acceptance looks like. It's not about resignation, but rather about focusing your energy on the things you can do something about. When you accept what you cannot change, you free up your mental and emotional energy to focus on what truly matters, how you choose to respond to the world around you. Practicing acceptance doesn't just make life easier, it helps you live more, intentionally, with more clarity and with a deeper sense of peace. So the next time you're facing a tough situation, ask yourself, what can I control here? What's in my power to change? And most importantly, what can I accept with grace? Knowing that it doesn't define me, by embracing the art of acceptance, you'll find the freedom to let go of unnecessary stress, and you'll have more energy to focus on what really matters in your life. This, in my opinion, is one of the greatest gifts Stoicism offers. Peace of mind that comes not from controlling the uncontrollable, but from accepting what is. Number 3. Focus on actions, not results. In today's world, success is often defined by the results we achieve, the accolades we collect, the accomplishments we can showcase, and how others perceive our efforts. It's easy to get swept up in this constant pursuit of results, believing that our worth is determined by what we can point to, what we've achieved, and how we compare to others. But this approach to success often leads to frustration, anxiety, and a sense of emptiness, because no matter how hard we try, the outcomes are never entirely within our control. Fortunately, Stoicism offers a liberating alternative. Stoic philosophy teaches us that true fulfillment doesn't come from the end result, but from how we approach the journey itself. The Stoic secrets show us that while we can't control external outcomes, we do have complete control over our actions, our efforts, and the principles we choose to uphold. By focusing on what we can control, our intentions, our work ethic, and our integrity, we free ourselves from the suffocating pressure of constantly chasing results. This shift in perspective is incredibly empowering because it allows us to stop measuring our worth by external accomplishments and start valuing the process itself. Take, for example, someone training for a marathon. While they might not win the race or even place, Their sense of accomplishment comes not from the trophy, but from the commitment, discipline, and effort they put into the training itself. This mindset encourages us to embrace the journey, to find pride in our effort, and to recognize that doing our best is the true measure of success, regardless of the outcome. By adopting this approach, we not only cultivate peace of mind, but also develop resilience, learning to detach from the transient nature of success and failure. Marcus Aurelius, a Stoic philosopher, beautifully captured this idea when he said, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." This means that every challenge or obstacle is an opportunity for growth, not something to be avoided or feared. By focusing on the actions we take rather than the external results, we can appreciate that the process itself is where true growth lies. This shift helps us break free from the constant need to prove ourselves to others or meet external standards. Instead, we start to find satisfaction in knowing we gave our best effort, regardless of whether the results align with our expectations. Embracing this philosophy doesn't just bring inner peace, it enriches our lives with purpose, meaning, and personal strength. When we stop focusing solely on the destination and focus instead on the journey, we learn to find value in every step, every setback, and every effort. This mindset allows us to experience life more fully, finding satisfaction in each moment, not just the end result. So the next time you're working toward a goal, whether it's personal, professional, or something else, remember that it's not the outcome that defines your success, it's the actions you take along the way. When you focus on the process, you are already living the Stoic secret to a fulfilled and meaningful life. If you're still here, it's clear you value the process as much as the result. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Share your personal mantra in the comments below by saying, "Success is in the effort, not the outcome." Let's continue this journey of growth together, and stay tuned for more content designed to help you live a more fulfilling and meaningful life. Number 4. Master self-reliance. In the world we live in today, it's easy to get caught up in the pressures of external validation, whether it's seeking approval from others, accumulating material possessions, or living according to societal expectations. Modern Stoicism, however, teaches us an invaluable lesson. The key to true freedom and fulfillment lies in mastering self-reliance. Self-reliance, a cornerstone of Stoic thought, is not about detaching from the world or isolating ourselves from others, but rather about building internal strength and independence. It's the ability to trust in our own judgment, values, and capabilities, without needing constant approval or validation from the outside world. This is a shift from the conventional way many of us approach life, where we often look to others for reassurance or direction. Instead, Stoicism encourages us to become centered in our own convictions, confident in our ability to handle life on our terms. As Epictetus wisely said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." This quote captures the essence of self-reliance, emphasizing that true freedom doesn't come from external circumstances, but from the ability to remain grounded in our own beliefs and choices, regardless of what's happening around us. A person who masters self-reliance does not depend on the fleeting judgments or successes of others. They are able to stand firm in their own truth, regardless of the noise from the outside world. This inner strength provides a steady foundation that allows them to remain calm and composed in the face of challenges, knowing that their true security comes from within. Take the example of someone who loses their job. It's easy to panic, to feel unmoored, and to let external circumstances dictate your sense of worth or happiness. However, someone who practices self-reliance would use such a situation as an opportunity to reflect. Instead of feeling helpless, they would pause to assess their personal goals, desires, and values, re-evaluating what truly matters to them and making decisions based on their own inner compass. This is where self-reliance truly shines. It allows us to take charge of our lives, even when external forces seem overwhelming. Self-reliance doesn't just help us weather the storms of life. It also cultivates a deeper sense of confidence and peace. When we trust in ourselves, we stop seeking constant validation from others and begin to make decisions from a place of authenticity. This practice, rooted in modern Stoicism, builds emotional resilience over time. It frees us from the shackles of others' opinions, allowing us to create a life that aligns with our true selves. You no longer need to bend to the whims of external expectations because you've cultivated the ability to stand strong on your own. The more you embrace self-reliance, the more you'll find that you are not easily swayed by the fleeting opinions or actions of others. You become empowered to navigate life's challenges with calm, clarity, and confidence, knowing that you possess the inner resources to handle whatever comes your way. In essence, self-reliance is not about being self-centered or distant from others. It's about building the strength to remain true to yourself regardless of what the world may throw at you. By practicing modern Stoicism, we learn to stay grounded in our own convictions, and this leads to greater peace, emotional resilience, and personal empowerment. When you master self-reliance, you stop looking to others for validation and start finding your sense of worth from within. This shift in mindset allows you to live more authentically and navigate life's inevitable challenges with the unshakable confidence that you have the ability to create your own path. Through self-reliance, you ultimately become the architect of your own happiness and the master of your own destiny. Number 5. Cultivate patience in all circumstances. In today's world, where everything seems to move at lightning speed, patience is often seen as a weakness, something unnecessary. But I want to challenge you to think about it differently. What if patience is actually one of the most powerful virtues you could cultivate? The Stoics knew this well. They understood that patience isn't just about waiting around passively. It's about holding your ground and responding thoughtfully when life throws challenges your way. Marcus Aurelius, a great Stoic philosopher, often reminded himself that the impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. Let that sink in for a moment. What if every obstacle you face is actually an opportunity for growth, a chance to become stronger, wiser, and more resilient? Patience gives you the space to reflect before reacting, to pause and consider your next move rather than impulsively rushing into a solution. Think about a time when you've been in a situation where everything seemed to be going wrong. Maybe something important was on the line, and the waiting game felt unbearable. How did you handle it? Were you filled with frustration and anxiety, or did you take a deep breath and let go of the need to control everything? The Stoic secrets teach us that when faced with uncertainty or adversity, the key is not to try to force things to happen, but to patiently endure and trust in the process. Let's say, for example, you're waiting to hear back about a job opportunity that could change your life. The waiting can feel agonizing. Impatience makes us obsess over the outcome, feeding our anxiety. But if we take a step back, we can see that this waiting period is not something to suffer through. Instead, it's a time to focus on other things you can control, like improving your skills or maintaining your peace of mind. The real power comes when you shift your mindset from, "I need this to happen now," to, "I trust that things will unfold as they are meant to." In that moment of patience, you free yourself from the anxiety of the unknown and allow clarity and wisdom to emerge. Patience isn't passive, it's active. It's the conscious decision to stay calm and composed, even when life doesn't go as planned. And believe me, life doesn't always go as planned. But that's where the beauty lies. Each moment of waiting is a chance to strengthen your resilience. Each obstacle becomes an opportunity for growth. If you embrace patience, you can begin to see that not everything needs to be fixed immediately. Trust in the process. Trust in your ability to adapt and respond with grace. The next time you feel the urge to rush through a difficult situation, remember the Stoic secrets. Patience isn't about giving up. It's about giving yourself the space to grow, to learn, and to evolve. By cultivating patience, you allow life to unfold naturally, without the pressure to control every moment. And when you do, you'll notice that your ability to handle adversity improves, your peace of mind strengthens, and you find yourself more in tune with the flow of life. The lesson is simple. Patience is not just a virtue, it's a strategy for living a more fulfilled, peaceful life. So, take a moment to pause and ask yourself, what's the rush? What if the waiting, the uncertainty, is the very thing that will lead to your greatest growth? Number 6. Practice self-assessment regularly. Let's talk about something that can make a huge difference in how you live your life. The practice of self-assessment. I know it can sound a bit daunting, but trust me, it's one of the most powerful tools you can use to improve yourself and live a life aligned with your values. In modern Stoicism, self-awareness and continuous self-improvement are not just recommended, they're vital. The Stoics, the ancient philosophers we still look to today, understood this deeply. They believed in the importance of taking time each day for self-reflection. Every day they would review their thoughts, actions, and attitudes, asking themselves where they succeeded and where they could do better. What if you did that too? What if you took just a few moments every day to reflect on your own actions, on how you've handled situations, and ask yourself, how can I do better tomorrow? It doesn't have to be complicated. It could be something as simple as reflecting on how you reacted in a difficult conversation. Could you have been more patient, more understanding? By practicing regular self-assessment, you become accountable to yourself, no one else. And that's where true growth starts. Epictetus, one of the great Stoic philosophers, famously said, "The key is to keep company only with people who uplift you, whose presence calls forth your best." But what about keeping company with yourself? By assessing your thoughts and actions, you can control how you react to people and circumstances, which leads to true inner freedom. It's easy to fall into the trap of being overly critical of ourselves, but Stoicism teaches us that self-assessment isn't about harsh judgment. It's about being honest with ourselves, recognizing our strengths, acknowledging our weaknesses, and committing to bettering ourselves every day. This isn't about perfection, it's about progress. I know it can be tough sometimes. Maybe you've had a conversation where you wish you had been more patient, or a situation where you could have reacted differently. But instead of beating yourself up over it, what if you took a moment to reflect, understand what you can learn, and commit to being better next time? When you embrace regular self-assessment, you become more aware of your behaviors, more mindful of their impact, and ultimately you grow into a more balanced and purposeful person. Life is full of challenges, and the better we understand ourselves, the better we can handle them. The practice of regular self-assessment helps you stay true to your values, ensures you're always evolving, and makes you less reactive to the inevitable ups and downs of life. So I ask you, when was the last time you stopped to reflect on your day? What are the areas in your life where you could improve? The beauty of regular self-assessment is that it's always a chance for growth, always an opportunity to evolve into the best version of yourself. By practicing this regularly, you align yourself with your purpose and stay focused on what truly matters. You become not just the person you want to be, but the person you are meant to be. Number 7. Seek inner peace, not external validation. In a world where external validation often seems to define our worth, whether it's through the number of likes on a social media post, the praise from colleagues, or the accolades we receive for our achievements, it's all too easy to lose sight of what truly matters. The endless pursuit of approval from others can leave us feeling anxious, uncertain, and empty. But the Stoics offer a different way of living, one that doesn't rely on the opinions of others to define our happiness or self-worth. Stoicism teaches us that true peace is not found in external circumstances or in the validation we receive from others, but rather in the mastery of our inner world. This is one of the Stoic secrets. By cultivating inner peace, we become resilient and unshaken by the ebb and flow of life's challenges. Marcus Aurelius, a Stoic philosopher and emperor, wrote extensively about the importance of focusing on our inner life. These words are a powerful reminder that our emotional state and sense of peace are not determined by external events or the approval of others, but by how we choose to think and respond to them. When we rely on others to define our self-worth, we become vulnerable to the unpredictable fluctuations of their opinions. One moment we feel valued and confident, the next we may feel rejected or overlooked. This constant seeking of external validation can leave us feeling insecure and unstable. But when we focus on aligning ourselves with our own values and principles, we create a sense of internal security and fulfillment that no one can take away. A person who seeks inner peace might find solace in practices like journaling, meditation, or simply spending time alone to reflect and reconnect with themselves. These practices help to quiet the noise of the outside world and allow us to turn inward, where true peace resides. By prioritizing our internal well-being, we no longer depend on the approval or praise of others to feel good about ourselves. This shift allows us to break free from the endless cycle of seeking outside recognition, and instead we discover the lasting joy that comes from self-acceptance and inner calm. True freedom lies in releasing the need for external validation and embracing the sense of fulfillment that comes from knowing who we are and what we stand for. As the Stoics would advise, we are at our best when we are grounded in our own principles and values, rather than swayed by the opinions and judgments of others. When we turn our focus inward and prioritize our own sense of peace, we experience greater clarity, resilience, and a deeper sense of fulfillment. Life becomes more meaningful when we stop living for the approval of others and start living in alignment with our own authentic selves. So the next time you find yourself seeking validation from the outside world, remember the Stoic wisdom of focusing on your inner peace instead. By mastering your thoughts and aligning with your values, you will discover the true freedom and contentment that come from within. As you embark on the journey of finding inner peace and learning to live true to yourself, remember that true happiness comes from within, not from external validation. Share your commitment with the community by commenting the following: I am seeking inner peace. Let this be the first step in discovering true freedom and lasting happiness. Number 8. Learn from failure and grow. In life, failure is often feared and seen as something to avoid, equating it to personal defeat or inadequacy. However, modern Stoicism teaches us a different perspective. Failure is not something to be feared, but something to embrace. The Stoics, like Epictetus, understood that failure is an inevitable part of life, essential for growth and self-improvement. Epictetus wisely said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it, that matters." This statement reminds us that it's not the failure itself that defines us, but how we choose to respond to it. Instead of letting failure discourage us, Stoicism encourages us to view it as a learning opportunity, an opportunity to reflect, adjust, and grow. Every failure carries valuable lessons, helping us refine our approach and strategies. For example, consider an entrepreneur whose first business venture doesn't succeed. Rather than seeing it as a personal loss, the Stoic mindset invites us to use failure as a chance to learn. What went wrong? What assumptions were inaccurate? What steps can be improved in future attempts? By analyzing failure with curiosity rather than fear, we can identify areas for improvement, making the next attempt stronger and wiser. Failure in this light is not an end point, but a necessary part of the journey toward success. Modern Stoicism encourages us to view failure not as something to avoid, but as a vital tool for personal growth. When we stop fearing failure, we remove its stigma and start seeing it as an essential part of learning. Instead of avoiding risk, we begin to take calculated steps, knowing that each setback is simply an opportunity to recalibrate and improve. By embracing failure with curiosity and a growth mindset, We foster adaptability and resilience, allowing us to become more focused on self-improvement. Over time, we learn to face challenges with clarity, knowing that failure is not a reflection of our inadequacy, but a step toward progress. The Stoics teach us that failure is not a defeat, but part of the process of becoming the best version of ourselves. The key is in how we respond to it. When we embrace failure as a learning opportunity, it transforms from something negative into something invaluable. It teaches us what doesn't work, where we need to refine, and how we can grow. Every failure builds emotional resilience, strengthens our character, and increases our ability to handle life's challenges. The more we learn to embrace failure, the more we grow, not just in skill but in wisdom. By adopting this mindset, failure becomes a tool that propels us forward, closer to achieving our goals. In a world that often celebrates success and fears failure, modern Stoicism offers a refreshing perspective. Instead of seeing failure as something to avoid, we can see it as an opportunity for growth. In doing so, we not only build resilience, but also move closer to becoming the best version of ourselves. Remember, failure is not the end. It's a natural part of the journey. Each lesson learned brings us one step closer to the success we seek. To wrap things up, the teachings of modern Stoicism offer timeless wisdom that can transform the way we live. By letting go of the need for external validation, focusing on what truly matters, and embracing challenges as opportunities for growth, we start to unlock the Stoic secrets to living a peaceful, authentic life. As you apply these principles, remember that Stoicism isn't just a theory, it's a way of living, one that requires daily practice, dedication, and self-reflection. It may not always be easy, but the journey towards inner peace and freedom is worth every step. If you want to continue exploring the powerful lessons of Stoicism and apply them in your own life, be sure to like, share, and subscribe to Stoic in Your Life. Don't forget to turn on notifications so you never miss our upcoming videos. In order to be grounded, stay true to yourself, and let Stoicism guide you toward a life full of purpose and clarity.